Well, it's Testimony Tuesday again, and sitting out here on the porch, beautiful, just like perfect day right now, and the birds are singing so loud, and I know y'all hear that a lot, but I'll always talk about it because it's one of those joys to sit here and look around, and I'm looking at the green leaves now on the trees, the fresh new green trees, and the birds that are singing. And as I give testimony, sometimes it's just looking around and seeing what I have to be grateful for. What I have grateful to be grateful for in the middle of life and life situations. Had a tough. I don't want to go too much into it, but really had a tough day this morning with Gary, and sometimes I need to say these things, I guess, for caregivers maybe, or people that is in some of these situations that I'm in, that you see that you're not the only one. He had a meltdown earlier. I mean, just a complete meltdown. And I tried to help him because he decided to take the 2 trash cans in the kitchen, and instead of just taking the trash bags out, taking them both outside, he decided to take the trash out of one and put it in the other, I guess to save the bag. And that would be fine if it's just a few bigger items, but that trash was full of food and coffee grounds and a lot of stuff because we had a gathering here at our house last night. And so it all ended up in the floor. It was just a big mess in the floor. I'm trying to help him, trying to clean it up, and he was getting more frustrated. Then he just, I don't know what I said that was the wrong thing. And he just went off, just went crazy, and then took it and then dumped half of it in the back room, and then went outside and threw the rest of it all over the ground, and just starts just saying horrible, ugly things to me and calling me names that these are words that would never come out of his mouth. Ever. With Gary, ever. He never even hardly raised his voice at me. So I'm dealing with another man, because the one thing is, it's interesting that Alzheimer's, people associate it with memory loss, which it's one of the first signs, but it doesn't just affect the area of memory loss first, but it also attacks the area of your brain where you have logic, problem solving. So what might be as simple, like I got 2 trash bags, I'm going to combine them, it ends up being a disaster because your logic isn't working. Well, he did yesterday. I could have burnt the house down if I had. That's why I can't leave him. I was outside sweeping the porch, doing some stuff, getting ready for our company that was coming. And when I went in, it was like, whoa, hit me in the face. Something was burning. I run upstairs and I can't figure it out. And he's upstairs. I'm like, something's burning. He goes, yeah, it's something outside. I'm like, no, it's not outside. It's in here. And I'm running around because, our house burned some years back. Was struck by lightning and burned. And then I looked up, and he had taken my new expensive UGG house shoes that I love, that my daughter bought me when I was sick. He'd put them up on the light fixture, both of them up on light bulbs with it on. Well, it was melting the shoes, and it would have been burst. I don't know, it wasn't flaming yet, but it would have, and it was lights close enough to the ceiling. It would have been nothing to catch the ceiling on fire. It completely destroyed my shoes, of course, but also the light fixture. Now I got to get somebody to come in and put me a new light fixture because it rent that. But in the middle of this, I think the worst part of it, though, is afterwards when he realized what he'd done. He knew it was him, and he was embarrassed because people were coming, and he didn't want them to know what he had done. And to see him suffer is worse. Is the worst. So how can this be Testimony Tuesday? The testimony is as we list last night in my group, I do a home gathering once a month. It's called Praise and Prayer, and we talk about the victories, we talk about our testimonies, and we also talk about our needs. And I realize that there's nobody, you don't meet anybody, you're not going to run into anybody today that's not having some issues. They're not struggling in some way, even on their good days. There are situations that people are dealing with. This is why we need God. This is why I need to know that God is good, even when life is not good. I have to have the testimony of how He's carried me through the past to know He's going to carry me through the future. There was a song we played last night, and somebody sent it to me. I can't remember the name of it. It's so good. It says, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know who he is. I don't know what's coming, but I know him. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I know God. And I know him, as Apostle Paul said, that I may know him. No, that's an intimate word. That's not know about him or just, no, to know him is to experience him. He said, I'm even willing to know him in the power, not just of his resurrection, but the power of his suffering. Easter's come upon us. There's not a resurrection without a crucifixion. And that's the truth that I was just reading where he says, unless a grain of corn, unless that little seed falls in the ground, it would remain alone. That's all you'd have, is one little kernel. You don't can eat much off one little kernel. But when I plant that thing in faith. Farming is all about faith. Farming, because why would you put something in the ground? You have to have faith that something's going to happen. It's out of your control. You have to have faith that it's going to germinate. And then all of a sudden, out of that ground, out of that burial, all of a sudden there's a new life. And in that new life, there becomes not just one seed, but multiple seeds. And that seed is not just to produce corn for you to eat, your family, but also corn to feed others, and also have enough corn to plant it in the next season. You have to give it away. You have to hold that. That's why Gary and I always put God first in our giving. We put it in, that's that thing of I'm planting that, knowing there's another harvest. To give up what I have, to get what I don't have yet, it's called faith, because it's what you don't see yet. So it's this whole operation from the garden. It said it's the reaping and the sowing. It's the principle of the seed. It's sowing. So today, as I hopefully sow some seed, some word to you today of encouragement in some of my own testimonies, that it's going to produce fruit. That in our suffering, in my situations, that I can bless you, encourage you to know God. We need to know him. I think it was Job that said something like, life is short and full of trouble. Short, it's not from this view, it can be that way. But I'm so glad it's not all trouble. I'm so glad that there's victories. My life has been much more blessed than it has been the hard days. The harvest is great, but there is a time of planting. There is a time of sowing. There's a plant. Everything, and he said there is a season. So today, I'm going to stop on this right here, and hopefully this is giving you a little bit of encouragement today as I share Testimony Tuesday. Sometimes we're on the mountain. Sometimes when we get inspiration, sometimes we're in the valley, but it's in the valley where the fruit is grown. It's where the deep soil is. Love you guys.